She asked a stranger for $1. What he did next changed her life forever. I'll never forget the moment I watched a woman's entire world shift on the corner of 5th Avenue and 42nd Street in Manhattan. It was a Tuesday morning in November, and what started as a simple request for a single dollar became something none of us saw coming. Her name was Jennifer Martinez, and she was 28 years old, standing outside a Starbucks with tears frozen on her cheeks. The wind whipped through the city canyon, but she barely seemed to notice. Her hands trembled as she held a cardboard sign that read, "Need $1 for Subway. Please help. Lost everything." Now, I know what you're thinking. You've seen these stories before. You've walked past people asking for money. Maybe you've given, maybe you haven't. But I promise you, what happened next will make you question everything you think you know about a single moment of kindness. The man who stopped wasn't who you'd expect. His name was Robert Chen, a 62-year-old immigrant who'd arrived in New York 35 years earlier with $47 in his pocket and a dream that felt impossible. He wore a worn gray suit that had seen better days, carried a briefcase held together with duct tape, and walked with a slight limp from an old injury. Most people that morning rushed past Jennifer. The morning commute in New York is relentless. Thousands of faces, each locked in their own private battle against time. But Robert stopped. He looked at her sign. Then he looked into her eyes. "You need $1?" he asked, his voice carrying the melody of his native Mandarin beneath the English words. Jennifer nodded, unable to speak. Later, she told me she hadn't eaten in 2 days. She'd been evicted from her apartment 3 weeks earlier after losing her job as a paralegal when her firm downsized. Her savings evaporated, paying for her mother's emergency surgery. Her credit cards were maxed. Her friends had their own problems, and her pride had kept her from asking for help until she had absolutely nothing left. Robert reached into his wallet. Jennifer watched, expecting him to pull out a single, maybe a 5 if she was lucky. Instead, he pulled out a $20 bill. "No," she stammered, shaking her head. "I just need $1, just enough for the subway. I have a job interview in Brooklyn. If I can just get there." "Where in Brooklyn?" Robert interrupted. "Sunset Park. It's a data entry position. It's not much, but it's something. I just need to get there." Robert looked at his watch. He was already running late for his own job as a night security guard at a hospital in Queens. He worked the overnight shift, 6 nights a week, and had been awake for nearly 20 hours. But something in Jennifer's eyes stopped him from simply handing over the money and walking away. "Come," he said simply. "What?" "I drive you. I have car. 4 blocks from here." Jennifer's first instinct was fear. Every warning she'd ever received about strangers flashed through her mind. But desperation has a way of drowning out caution. She looked into Robert's weathered face and saw something she hadn't seen in weeks: genuine compassion without judgment. As they walked to his car, a 1998 Honda Civic with a cracked windshield and rust eating at the doors, Robert told her his story. How he'd left China with nothing. How he'd slept in a basement with 14 other immigrants for 2 years. How he'd worked 3 jobs, saved every penny, and eventually brought his wife and daughter to America. How his daughter, Susan, was now a pediatric nurse at Mount Sinai. And how he'd never been more proud of anything in his life. The drive to Brooklyn should have taken 40 minutes. It took 1 hour and 15 because of traffic. The entire time, Robert kept the conversation going. He asked Jennifer about her background, her skills, her dreams. And slowly, she began to open up. She'd graduated from community college with honors. She'd been good at her paralegal job, really good. She'd been on track for a promotion before the layoffs. She'd wanted to go to law school someday. But then life happened. Her mother's stroke, the medical bills, the eviction, the spiral into a darkness she never thought she'd experience. When they arrived at the address in Sunset Park, Robert didn't just drop her off. He parked the car and looked at her seriously. "You go in there, you tell them truth," he said. "You tell them you hard worker. You tell them you never give up. You show them the person I see right now." Jennifer's eyes filled with tears. I don't know how to thank you. You've already done so much. Wait here after interview, Robert said, cutting her off. I wait for you. We talk more. The interview lasted 30 minutes. When Jennifer emerged, her face was unreadable. Robert's heart sank, but then she broke into a smile. They want me to start Monday, she whispered, as if saying it too loud might make it disappear. It's minimum wage, but it's 40 hours. It's a chance. Robert smiled, but he wasn't done. Now we go eat. You hungry? I can't ask you for anything else. You not asking, I offering. Big difference. They went to a small Dominican restaurant where Robert was clearly a regular. Over rice, beans, and chicken, Robert made a proposition that Jennifer initially refused. He and his wife had a spare room in their apartment in Queens. Their daughter had moved out 2 years earlier. The room was just sitting there, collecting dust. Jennifer could stay there, rent-free, until she got back on her feet. I can't, Jennifer protested. I'm a stranger. You don't know me. I know enough, Robert said. I know you ask for $1, not 10, not 20. I know you have job interview, you try. I know you take care of your mother when she's sick. I know you the kind of person who deserve help. Jennifer wanted to refuse. Every independent bone in her body screamed against accepting such overwhelming generosity from someone she'd met just hours ago. But she was exhausted from fighting alone. She was tired of being strong. She was drowning, and Robert was throwing her a life raft. She moved into the Chen family apartment 3 days later. Robert's wife, Lynn, welcomed her like a daughter. They refused to discuss rent, though Jennifer promised she'd contribute once she started working. The room was small but clean, with a window that looked out over a quiet street. It was the first time in weeks that Jennifer had felt safe. But here's where the story takes a turn that still gives me chills when I think about it. Jennifer started her data entry job that Monday. She was good at it, fast and accurate. Within 2 weeks, her supervisor noticed. Within a month, she was training new hires. Within 3 months, she was promoted to team lead with a raise. She started saving money. She paid Robert and Lynn rent despite their protests. She took them out to dinner once a week. She helped Lynn with grocery shopping. She taught Robert how to use a smartphone his daughter had bought him. She became part of their family. But Jennifer didn't forget where she'd come from. Every Saturday morning, she started volunteering at a homeless shelter in Manhattan. She served meals, organized donations, and most importantly, she listened. She looked people in the eye the way Robert had looked at her. She saw their humanity when everyone else saw through them. One Saturday, about 6 months after meeting Robert, Jennifer was at the shelter when a young man came in. He was 23, recently aged out of foster care, and had been living in his car for 2 months. He reminded Jennifer of herself, proud, scared, trying desperately not to give up. His name was Marcus, and he had a job interview the next Monday. But his car had broken down. He had no money for the subway, and he was about to give up hope. Jennifer didn't hesitate. She gave him subway fare. She gave him the address of a clothing closet where he could get interview clothes. And then she did something that shocked even herself. She gave him Robert's phone number. Call this man, she said. Tell him Jennifer sent you. Tell him you need help. He'll listen. Marcus got the job. He also got a room in Robert's apartment building. Robert had talked to his landlord about a vacant studio. Within a year, Marcus was assistant manager at the grocery store where he'd started as a stock clerk. And then Marcus helped someone, and that person helped someone else. And the chain continued. 3 years later, Jennifer had saved enough to start law school part-time while working. She'd reconnected with her mother, whose health had stabilized. She'd moved into her own apartment but visited Robert and Lynn every Sunday for dinner. It was non-negotiable. 5 years later, Jennifer graduated from law school and passed the bar exam. She opened a small practice focused on tenant rights and helping people navigate the legal system when they couldn't afford big law firms. She remembered what it felt like to be on the wrong side of an eviction notice. 7 years later, At a community service award ceremony in Manhattan, Jennifer told her story publicly for the first time. Robert and Lynn sat in the front row. Marcus was there too, along with dozens of other people whose lives had been touched by the ripple effect that started with $1 and one man's decision to do more than the minimum. "I asked a stranger for $1, Jennifer said, her voice steady despite the tears on her face. "He gave me a ride, a meal, a home, and most importantly, he gave me dignity when I had none left. He showed me that the worst moment of my life didn't define who I was. And he taught me that helping others is not about how much you give, it's about seeing people for who they are, not what they lack." The standing ovation lasted 5 minutes. But the real ending of this story isn't at a fancy ceremony. It's in the small moments that happen every single day because of that Tuesday morning on 5th Avenue. It's in the room that Robert and Lynn keep available in their apartment for people who need temporary shelter. 6 people have lived there since Jennifer, each one paying it forward in their own way. It's in Jennifer's law practice, where she takes on cases pro bono for people experiencing homelessness or housing insecurity. It's in Marcus's grocery store, where he's created a hiring program specifically for people with employment gaps, criminal records, or homelessness on their resume, the people everyone else overlooks. It's in the hundreds of people they've collectively helped, and the thousands of people those people have gone on to help. Robert is 70 now. He finally retired from his security guard job last year. At his retirement party, his supervisor shared something Robert had never told anyone. For 35 years, Robert had been donating 5% of every paycheck to a fund that helped hospital employees experiencing financial hardship. Hundreds of thousands of dollars over the decades. Money he could have used for himself, given to others without ever taking credit. When asked why he never mentioned it, Robert shrugged. "Helping is not for praise," he said simply. "Helping is for helping." Jennifer heard that and understood something profound. Robert hadn't changed her life that morning on 5th Avenue because he was rich or powerful or special. He'd changed her life because he was human in the way we're all capable of being human. He saw someone who needed help, and he helped. Not for recognition, not for reward, but because it was the right thing to do. The question isn't what Robert did that was so extraordinary. The question is, what stops the rest of us from doing the same thing? We walk past people asking for help every single day. We have countless opportunities to stop, to see, to listen, to extend a hand. We tell ourselves we don't have time, we don't have money, we don't know if they're genuine, we don't want to get involved. But what if one of those moments is someone's last shred of hope? What if your attention, your compassion, your willingness to see their humanity could be the thing that keeps them going one more day? And what if that one more day is the day everything changes? Jennifer asked for $1. Robert gave her everything. Not because he had everything to give, but because he understood that sometimes the most valuable thing you can offer another human being is not money. It's the message that they matter, that they're seen, that they're not alone. That message changed Jennifer's life, and through her, it changed hundreds of other lives. All because one man decided that a stranger's need was more important than his own convenience. I think about that every time I'm tempted to look away, to keep walking, to mind my own business. I think about Robert's worn gray suit and duct-taped briefcase. I think about him driving an hour out of his way when he'd been awake for 20 hours. I think about him opening his home to a complete stranger. And I ask myself, what would Robert do? More importantly, I ask myself, what will I do? Because that's what this story is really about. It's not about a woman who asked for $1. It's not even about a man who gave her the world. It's about the choice we all face every single day. Do we look away or do we look closer? Jennifer made that choice at the homeless shelter every Saturday. Marcus made it at his grocery store. Robert made it every single day for 35 years. Now it's your turn. Someone out there is standing on a corner, holding a sign, asking for help. Maybe it's money they need. Maybe it's a ride. Maybe it's just someone to look them in the eye and see their humanity. Will you stop? Because I've learned something from watching this story unfold. We're all one disaster away from being Jennifer on that corner. We're all one act of kindness away from being Robert, and we're all one choice away from changing someone's life forever. The woman asked a stranger for $1. What he did next changed her life forever. But here's the secret. It changed his life too. It changed Marcus's life. It changed mine. And if you let it, it can change yours. All it takes is one moment, one decision, $1, one act of human kindness that says, I see you. You matter. You're not alone. That's the power we all have. The question is, will we use it?